Hey guys, this is Ashley. Eli is, I think, finishing up some homework. We are in at the Copan Ruins in Honduras. My ears haven't popped. We drove like 7 hours today to get here. We tried to come here about 8 or 10 years ago, and it just didn't work out. It was raining. The roads were bad. We kept going down the wrong roads. It was before there was good GPS, so we weren't able to actually find it. And so it's a really big place for us not to be able to find. But it was raining so bad and the roads were bad. We were just sliding everywhere. So I finally talked the boys, and if we could just go home, then we would go into Tegus and stay at a hotel with a pool. So that's what we ended up doing. Anyway, we missed last week's podcast. We had some guests on the farm. I guess 3 Wednesdays ago, Jonathan went home. Last Wednesday, Julia went home, but the Lipscombs came in. He is a neurologist, and he came, spent a few days with his wife, Karen, and they hope they had a great time, but we sure had a great time. We saw a lot of the farm, the coffee process. He runs a nonprofit. He is a specialist in epilepsy, so we're hoping that's something we'll be able to work on. But I try to do some kind of little thing, father-son trip with Jonathan and Eli whenever we come by ourselves. So Jonathan and I have been scuba diving. So Eli and I went to the caves last time, did a few little day trips. So we figured we'd do a big trip. We're planning a big blowout in July, because this July there's going to be a group coming from Tennessee. They're going to be there for 8 days. We're going to do some construction projects, VBS, medical clinic, dental clinic. That's going to be 8 days starting July 16th. But that's also July. We'll cover July 20th, so it'll be Eli's birthday, and also July 19th will be 10 years since we moved to the farm here in Honduras. So the last 2 years, we've been back and forth a lot and spent a lot of time in the States, and the family spent the majority of their time in the States. But 10 years ago, July the 19th, will be marked 10 years from the day that Eli came. He was 3 years old the day he came. He turned 4 in Honduras. And so at some point, he lived more of his life in Honduras than in the States. But Eli got online. He picked out this little hotel for us. I can't think what the name of it is, but it's a great place. It's breakfast, air conditioning, private parking, all the good stuff. And we've enjoyed it so far. I drove 7 hours. I think we averaged 25 miles an hour. And I got here, I was wiped out. So I slept for 3 hours while he did homework for 3 hours. And then we just got out and walked around town and got us nice hamburgers and fries from a little gourmet artisan restaurant. Hit some souvenir shops, but didn't buy anything. We'll wait till probably Friday to buy anything till we have gone a few places. Tomorrow, we're going to do a podcast from the Mayan ruins, provided they have good internet. Otherwise, we'll record a podcast. Then tomorrow night, or tomorrow afternoon, we're going to try to actually go into Guatemala. So if they'll let us do a walk across or drive, whichever's the easiest. Might be easier just to park, but apparently we're about 15 minutes from the border of Guatemala, so be fine. Eli's excited to get his passport stamped, and then we'll go over and get some good Guatemalan food and maybe do some shopping there, and then come back across. And Eli's got some dollars he's going to transfer into, I think it's colones that they use over there, so he'll get him part of his first collection for his he collects a little bit of money also, and this will be the third country, not including the United States, that he's been to. So and next week we might actually get to go to another country, but we haven't decided yet. So we'll have to see how time allows. Tonight we got to figure out when we're going to buy our tickets, because we're supposed to be coming home on Monday or Tuesday. That's when our tickets are. So we got to change those pretty quick. Anyway, we just want to give you guys a quick update. Stay tuned tomorrow, because tomorrow will be a bigger podcast. And if anybody's watching, if you can post a comment, I think I've got comments on. But tonight's just a quick podcast. We're going to try to get with some contacts that I've made over the years and see if on the way home Friday we could pick up a little bit of green coffee. Definitely, I went to barista school about 6 years ago. Cafe Loco is the guy he's from Santa Rosa de Copan, so we go through there. It's a pretty big town. So Friday we're going to stop in at his place and maybe do a quick podcast with him. But he is the guy who taught me my barista class. It's like a 5-day class. But it should be a fun week. So my hope is we'll get to do Copan Ruins, Guatemala, and then we'll do Santa Rosa de Copan, do a coffee shop podcast maybe. But at least get to see my old instructor and visit his coffee shop because he's got one of the best coffee shops around. So anyway, you guys stay tuned. We'll have a couple more posts tonight on Instagram and on Facebook about exactly when the podcast will be. And so we'll go from there. But thanks, guys, for tuning in. And you can still do comments. Hey, Richard, how you doing? I was telling earlier how I skipped last week. We had guests in from Alabama. And you were asking if he was a dentist. I had him confused. There's a guy he works with that's a dentist, but the guy that came was a neurologist. And so he's going to put us in contact with the dentist. And the dentist's already been, asking what we can do. So I don't know what all's going on with that. But what I do know about their project is if you're selected, you would be going into rural areas of Honduras and El Salvador and Guatemala. We would be setting up an EEG and doing readings on people that have epilepsy. And that's hooked up to a military laptop and a satellite phone, and all that information goes into his office in Alabama, and they read it and they'll prescribe the medicines and try to get people some help that are in very rural areas and people that can't afford an EEG, and so, which is probably quite a few people. And then his friend, the dentist, we're just hoping that somebody's going to help us finish out the dental clinic. We need a handpiece. We need a handpiece with a micro motor on it. We need a polishing buffer. We need drill bits. Those are the main things we need. Everything else, I think we can try to get here. Well, I think my biggest passion is the dental clinic. Julia's passion is the library. And then just to help the people, we try to do some medical clinics. But a lot of times, we've had a couple meetings. The last group that came, and I'm not knocking the groups, but there was probably 25 people, and about 8 of them were medical, and the rest of them just sort of messed around on the farm and drank my Dr. Peppers, haha. And but at the end of the day, there's people for a very small amount, I can buy a box full of amoxicillin. At the end of the day, a lot of these people are missing a day of work, and they're standing in line all day, and they end up getting a box of amoxicillin that they could buy for a third of a day's pay or even half a day's pay. So they're not really ahead of the game. The people that need to be served are the people that have high blood pressure. Those medicines are expensive. Type 2 diabetes. Just off the top of my head, there were 5 people we came up with in that first little meeting with Anna and Santos that have epilepsy. And the doc looked over one guy brought his meds in, and one of the meds had nothing to do with epilepsy. It was actually an antipsychotic. And so, he'll have to do a little more detail. His mom's coming in next week and going to bring all of his medical history, and we can interview her about what's going on. But a lot of the people aren't getting prescribed the right medicines. I know our son was on some meds when he was young for a thing called absentee seizures. Our farm boss had full grand mal seizures, and they were taking the exact same dosage and the exact same medicine. Eli was 4 to 5 years old. Enrique was 230, 240 pounds, 6 foot grown man, and they were on the same medicines, except for Eli's condition was under control, and Enrique had seizures, and he eventually passed from the results of some of his seizures. So it's we're going to start trying to focus on more specific clinics. One of the clinics we had, it was a non-medical clinic, was Dana came up and did some work with Down kids. And it was just an amazing to watch these kids just light up when they saw other kids with Downs. Some things like that are very simple and very cheap. It's a time where parents can go and talk with each other and discuss problems. Dana left a lot of learning material that Down kids could use. And so it was a really good week. And we've had a couple of those people have asked when she's coming back. So we need to get on her about that and get her group to come back, because if nothing else, it gives them a place to go. So if we're going to start more frequent clinics, we're trying to do the mostest with the leastest. That's what my dad used to say. And see what, how big of a bang we can make for the amount of buck that we have. But the dental clinic is supposed to get me a price on what it costs to fill a tooth with one injection, one filling. That's just the bare minimum. And so to give us an idea of, let's say, how far $50 will go. We have 2 dentists that will volunteer their time. All I got to do is host them and feed them. And from that, all we got to do is have a dental clinic set up where everything works. All the tools are there, and then we need to have enough medical supplies they can work with. And so from the amount of fillings and stuff I've had, there's a lot of different things that go into it. So that's one of the things that's a big thing we're working on. I don't have my reading glasses, Richard, so I'm having to squint. Can you write bigger? Just kidding. Yeah, Dana has, I always mispronounce the name of her company, Coffee and Crumbs. I'm sorry, Dana, if I did that wrong. But yeah, Dana's from around McKinney, Texas. And she has a lot of Downs kids that work at her coffee shop. And she just started a brick and mortar coffee shop. And here comes Eli. I think he's been out at the bar drinking. There's no drinking age here. And you got your dad's credit card, I think you can do what you want to do. Now, Eli and I will be at the ice cream shop. If you miss us, we're not at the bar. We're at the ice cream shop. They do have a little bar. I've been impressed with how quiet it is. And we've been thoroughly impressed with all the restaurants we went to last week in Marcala. The music was blaring and everybody was having a great time. But it was just loud. And so everything here is quiet, and we walked around the town square and just had a good night. Everything, we did get lost coming back to the hotel, but we figured that out, and we tried to remember where to turn. But doesn't always work out, so we had to break the GPS out. And so there's 2 white guys walking down the street with an ice cream cone following a GPS trying to get back to the hotel. So it all worked out in the end. But that we'll keep you guys updated. And Richard, thanks for joining in. And the others that are watching tonight, thanks for joining in. And we will do another podcast tomorrow. I will, as soon as I know what time it is, I'll post it. And then we're going to do another one on Friday on our way home. So guys, stay tuned. If you got any good questions, let me know. And hopefully we'll have a podcast from Guatemala tomorrow. Thanks a lot. We'll see you guys soon. Bye.